Back on the newsroom with Bharat Ratna awardee and noted researcher Professor C.N.R. Rao joining us live at this point. Professor Rao, good evening. Can you hear me? This is Anand here.
Good evening.
Congratulations, sir. And I'm going to go straight to the questions first up that we have for you. First up, I'd like you to tell us,
right.
You referred to politicians as idiots, and then you said that you did not mean that. Your
no,
usage,
I did not. I did not. That is wrongly quoted.
I agree. But was that somewhere also an expression of frustration with the political class in general for its failure to understand the needs of the scientific community?
Let me tell you what I said. I said we all take idiotic decisions, including politicians. That is not in English. It is a very acceptable parliamentary language. Calling something idiotic does not. We are not calling an individual anything. So it is one of those connections I had where I said something was idiotic.
But are you also somewhere frustrated with the political class because they've not understood the needs of the scientific community?
Well, that is Well, I don't want to comment on the political class as a whole because I don't know that many. I only know very few. But I don't want to make a comment on that. Actually, I don't have because I do not want an atmosphere of negativism. That is all. Whether it is politicians, that doesn't matter who. But I am now getting a depressing feeling that everything is a bit too negative in India. And I would like to see positive things.
You believe the mission to Mars, the Chandrayaan, all of that are positives? That's been achieved by the scientific community despite the lack of ample support?
It is something, it is definitely. Well, I think it is not, it is something we have to show that India is around, we are here, we are as good as anybody, why not? And in fact, that is what I want to happen in science. We are as good as anybody, we will keep our flag flying, we are not inferior to China or South Korea, we will do as well or even better. I think that is the kind of atmosphere I want to see in India.
Are you afraid that the leanings towards scientific pursuits is not enough in India? And you believe, you've said it before, isn't it, that is what will make India a force to reckon with?
I agree with you. I am concerned because what has happened is too many diversions, attractions in terms of salaries, money. Various professions have done that. However, at the same time, we have also not provided good working conditions for scientists. We must have outstanding institutions like Cambridge or MIT, a few of them, where young people want to work. If we have good working facilities and conditions, many young people will come back. So there are many things we have to do. It is in this context, I feel sometimes frustrated. Also because I'm getting old, I'm now almost 80 years old. I feel, whether India will ever do that, whether we'll have a India bubbling with young scientists, that sometimes I worry about it.
Why isn't it happening, Professor Rao? According to you, why isn't it happening? And why is the focus not there on science?
Partly it is only money. Partly also it is a priorities. Our priorities should be not just foreign investment, economy and various other things, sensex. Our priority also should be our intellectual accomplishments, the scholars we are producing, the wonderful scientific results we are producing. I think this kind of a society as a whole has to contribute to it. It is not just politicians. So all of us have to have this kind of value system. Will sports get more important than science? Or will cinema get more importance than science? These are all the things that eventually determine how the young people think. And I think we should worry about that.
As the Prime Minister's, Scientific Advisory Council, you're part of that. Have you used that good office and that proximity to raise this concern in the past?
Oh yes. We have done that. In fact, the Prime Minister just released a few weeks ago the main things we have done from the council. We have done many things. In fact, unfortunately, many of the things we have done have not seen the day of light of the day. Many people don't know. For example, the setting up of the 5 new Indian Institutes of Science Education and Research, outstanding institutions, all the 5 of them for science education at undergraduate level. They are similar to IITs. Similarly, setting up this new program, we are giving $1 billion to start supercomputing in India in a very big way. A number of things we have done. And unfortunately, these are not noticed by people. So there are lots of good things happening as well.
Sir, you are out of 43 awardees. You're only the 3rd scientist. after, Professor C.V. Raman and APJ Abdul Kalam was also the
Working
former
scientists,
president.
yeah.
Does that show how the scientific community has been sidelined? Because majority of the recipients have been politicians.
Yeah, well, I used to think about that, but not worry about it. I wondered, why is it that someone like Homi Bhabha was never given a Bharat Ratna? Homi Bhabha created the entire atomic energy space program. I don't know, I always used to wonder about that. But in terms of a working scientists working in the laboratory, I think after Raman, I'm the next one. So I'm one of those scientists who does research and publish papers. If you take that type of science, I would say I'm only the second one, and Raman was the first one. I think Homi Bhabha, who created atomic energy, should have been given, for example.
Final question to you, Professor Rao, before we wind up this chat. What would you urge the government to do? What would you urge those people in power to do now that you've been conferred the nation's highest civilian honor? What will be your single large, request and urge to them?
My only thing is, as early as possible in the next 2, 3, 4 years, we must reach a higher level of investment for science and technology and innovation, at least 1.5 to 2%. We must see that industry contributes also to science and technology. Lastly, decrease the bureaucracy in administering science. That is what my request. Bureaucratic control of science is equally depressing, and it usually thwarts really good science quite often. So these are the only recommendations I would have.
Hopefully they'll hear your requests and your urge and what you're asking of them. Professor Rao, congratulations once again, and thank you for talking to us this evening here on Times Now.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Okay.